Who is your number 5 receiver, Dawn, in the 2025 NFL Draft?
Number 5, the big-time route runner from Texas, Matthew Golden. And I think that's where it starts with the conversation for him is it just you flip it on, and I know there wasn't a ton of production at Houston the couple years before when he was there, but that's also in part due to the quarterback situation and not a great team. Now he goes to Texas and felt like early in the season he wasn't featured as much. They had Isaiah Bond in there. Gunnar Helm at tight end was getting a lot of targets. Texas always wants to run the football. Also, he had the Quinn Ewers injury and things kind of Arch Manning and then back to Quinn Ewers. So took a while for him to get into rhythm at Texas. But I'll tell you, you saw what he did at the end of the season against Clemson, against Arizona State, against Georgia. He's just a route runner. I think that's the first thing is what pops off the tape is his feet. His stop and start is just fantastic. He's got really good body control. And even at 6 foot 195, plays bigger than that, it feels like, doesn't he, right? Contested situations, balls that are kind of a little bit outside of his frame that it feels like he so smoothly just goes up and gets them, and he gets his feet down in bounds, and the adjustments, the calmness to the way he catches the football, and again, especially when he's not in press coverage, because I do think there's a little bit of a weakness when it comes to physicality. He doesn't win physically throughout his routes as much as he does with his feet, but when he gets a clean release, this is a guy with some nasty footwork and again, who's really competitive and can catch balls outside of his frame despite not being the biggest guy among this group.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, a massive breakout year for Matthew Golden this past year at Texas. Had nearly 1,000 yards. He combined for 1,000 yards during his 2 years at Houston. Nearly a 98th percentile gas score. He's a really good athlete. You mentioned the footwork. I thought was phenomenal as well. He beat man and zone coverage at a really efficient level this past year as well. 61% contested catch rate, reliable hands, and capable of making some incredible grabs. He had one catch. I remember it's Ohio State, right, where he had the one-hander that looked so easy for him in that semifinal against Ohio State.
Yeah.
It was an incredible grab there.
Is his concentration and his ability for just his entire, because there's certain guys that get in spots like you just mentioned, and it almost looks like their body's not in sync, and the hand-eye coordination isn't all the way there. It's all the way there with Golden, right? And again, this is one that you have to look past the stats and even some of the production. And again, did he come on late at Texas the second half of this year? Absolutely. But when you flip it on and you watch him route after route and the way his feet move and the way he attacks the football and does it so easily, especially to me on balls by the sideline or in the back in the end line, but in the back of the end zone, just the calm nature of the way he catches the football in tight spaces like that, or just like you mentioned, just with one hand, just like, okay, this is just what needs to be done. This is someone I think somewhere between probably 20 and 40 in the draft order he's going to get to. And again, I think one of the best route runners in this class when he gets that clean release.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mentioned before, he's actually solid after the catch despite being used mostly as a downfield receiver. Athleticism kind of shows up after the catch there. Willing blocker, so you got to get more physical, I think, in his routes, like you said. But he is a willing blocker, 65 run blocking grade over the last 2 years. And you mentioned the subpar quarterback play at Houston. You say the same thing for Texas, man. Quinn Ewers had a rough year this year, I thought. So he did deal with some subpar QB play throughout his entire career in college football. Some of the negatives, obviously 1 year of top-end production that kind of lagged behind some of the guys like the top 4 of this class who have multiple years of elite production. I think he's solid in a lot of areas, not spectacular in some areas. I don't know if he has a true trump card. And I think as a separator, he's got to be a little more physical in his routes. And I think that's why he's athletic enough. He's got the footwork to get open consistently. But if he gets a little more physical in his routes, he can get open a lot more consistently. Because I did see some times where he didn't get open as often as I wanted him to in his routes. And then I think he's at average size as well, 6 feet tall, 195 pounds. Again, maybe not a true trump card to hang his hat on just yet, but there aren't really many glaring holes in his game either. Solid all around, really good athlete, good enough size position. I don't know if he'll ever be a number 1 receiver in the NFL, but he could be a long-term number 2 for a team, I think.
I think he's easily one of the 5 best route runners in this class as far as just the way his feet stop and start and the polish behind his route running, especially on the outside. I think that's really the appeal here. If you want somebody who can separate, and I think somebody maybe you could use kind of 50-50 inside and outside. I think getting in the slot even a little bit more in the NFL would help him out. To me, it's all about for him find ways to get him a clean release. If you can do that and he can just use his feet and beat you one-on-one in space, you have a serious problem covering him.
If you put him in the slot, then yeah, he would get a lot more clean releases, right?
Absolutely.
He'd be really effective.
The question then would become, it's just about, because against, say you're in the slot against zone coverage, is about those stronger guys inside kind of redirecting you a little bit, working around those linebackers and keep, working to make those catches in tight spaces, right? Which we know he can do by the sideline. He really does. He's got feet like a friggin' ballerina. Like, it's just, he's so light on his feet on the outside and in space. It's just a matter of being physical at an NFL level, but certainly one of the best route runners in this class.
Yeah, I have some questions with him beating press coverage at the next level, but I'm with you though. I think he could be a really effective number 2 receiver for an NFL team. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.